what's going on, everybody? The Who Dat Nation. It's the one and only Who Dat Davis here for you. And as always, if you don't know, you will know that over here we bleed black and gold until we are dead and cold. Let's go ahead and get right down with the breakdown. We are breaking down the schedule leak for the New Orleans Saints 2021 opponents. Now, this is not the be-all end-all. We still have to wait till later this evening when the NFL announces the official schedule for the New Orleans Saints. But leaks, we're going to go off leaks and what we know so far. So let's go ahead and get right into this week 1 matchup with the New Orleans Saints versus the Green Bay Packers, right? We're going to be talking about what's to look at, if they're going to win, if they're going to lose, or if they're even going to tie, right? And we're going to look at the final record for the New Orleans Saints by the end of December. Let's start week 1, opening game at home versus the Green Bay Packers. I have the Green Bay Packers losing to the Saints. I think the Saints are going to want to start off strong, have Jameis Winston start off a really strong campaign to being the heir apparent to Drew Brees. He's going to want to be on his P's and Q's for this game. On top of the fact that the Green Bay Packers are a little bit of a disarray right now. This could very much change by the time September 12th comes around. But this is something that's really serious. When you don't have that chemistry between your quarterback and your front office, nearly anything can happen. On top of the fact that, like I said, Jameis Winston is going to want to show that he's a different man than when he was in Tampa, right? He's gotten slim. He's working up with his guys. And I think he's going to want to prove himself by really stamping himself against an opponent that the Saints have been struggling with for the past 2 seasons. And when I mean by struggling, I mean playoff seeding. The Green Bay Packers for the past 2 seasons have mucked up the Saints' #1 seeding in the NFC. Now, granted, the Saints should have been on their P's and Q's from start to finish of every game. But when they were right there, when they were standing on the cusp of gaining the 1 seed, the Green Bay Packers win a game or tie a game, whatever the case may be, the Green Bay Packers have been right there to steal the #1 seed from underneath their noses. Okay, so I have the Saints winning here by 7 points. I have them winning by a touchdown. Now, week number 2 against Carolina, I have them winning against the Carolina Panthers on the road, at home, on the road in their building. Excuse me. The Carolina Panthers are a little questionable in terms of their secondary, right? Yes, they have J.C. Horn, they have Dante Jackson on the other side, and we all know what Marquez Callaway can do against Dante Jackson, right? But offensively, they're a little suspect. Now, we can't sleep on the Carolina Panthers altogether, right? Because for the past 2 drafts, they have been going at it with the New Orleans Saints. They not only ended up getting Tommy Stevens in the first place, the Saints had no business trying to get Tommy Stevens. I don't know why they would choose to do that, but this draft specifically, right? They've drafted J.C. Horn because they knew the Saints wanted him, and then they stole Terrace Marshall Jr., the wide receiver out of LSU, because they heard by reports that the Saints wanted Terrace Marshall. This is a really close game. I have the Saints winning, but it's going to be by a field goal, right? I think Matt Rule is too much of a uncanny kind of guy, and if you haven't seen on Twitter, Teddy Bridgewater, who was just released from Carolina to go to Denver, he aired out some dirty laundry supposedly on the Carolina Panthers in terms of their training regimen. They have not been doing any kind of training in their 2-minute drills, which makes a lot of sense when you look at the games Carolina Panthers have lost in. 8 games for the Carolina Panthers have been one score with 3 minutes or more or less on the clock in the 4th quarter. Right, the game against Kansas City Chiefs, they had Kansas City on their heels. They had a chance to win that game, but their 2-minute drill was absolutely horrible. They couldn't find the sideline. They couldn't get out of bounds. They couldn't stop the clock for whatever reason. They have been running up the field. Matt Rule needs to do better. So I think the Saints are going to capitalize on this type of energy. They are more efficient in running a 2-minute drill. When you have Jameis Winston learning under Drew Brees, you know that's going to be a paramount thing. So it's going to come down to the wire in terms of who can execute better offensively. And I think the Saints have the edge there. So we have 2-0 so far for the New Orleans Saints. Let's go into week 3 against the New England Patriots. New England is a W for the Saints, okay? I think the Saints are going to beat the New England Patriots. We don't have to worry about Tom Brady anymore wreaking havoc for the New England Patriots. The last time they squared off, okay, the Patriots won against the Saints in their home building. I believe it was 2016 or maybe 2015. I don't know. It's been one of those 2 years. But they have Cam Newton, who's been a shell of his former self, playing in New England for Bill Belichick. And I believe at this point, after week 3, we're going to see Mac Jones playing the following week in week 4. They're going to take advantage of a guy who can't really sling it down the field like he used to. And we have Pete Werner, a guy who can spy QBs, athletic QBs, who know how to scramble in the pocket. Pete Werner, he's done that kind of thing since Ohio State. So I believe the Saints are going to be in good position to win this game, especially defensively. Yes, they've added a lot of playmakers, especially 2 tight ends from free agency to supplement what they do. But when you finally have a linebacker core that can stop tight ends, that can stop running backs, you're not too worried about that, especially with James White back there. All right, James White is kind of getting up there in age, so I believe the Saints are going to win this one by 10 points. I have Saints 10-point favorites against the New England Patriots. That brings Saints to a 3-0 record, right? A 3-0 record. It's going to week 4 against the New York Giants. Honestly, that's going to be a close game, but I have the Saints winning it against the New York Giants. I say it's going to be close because during the second half of the season for the New York Giants, they found their stride defensively. They've been really, really hard to score on, and they found their stride offensively. See the game against the Tampa Bay Bucks, who they should have won against, who they should have lost against, I should say. But Joe Judge is changing the culture of the New York Giants. And we can't sleep on how aggressive and how seriously commanding he is. He's learned under Bill Belichick, right? And he's bringing that type of energy to a team that really needs it. Offensively, they surrounded Daniel Jones with a lot of weapons, right? They surrounded him with Kenny Golladay, a really, really good receiver coming out of Detroit. They've got Kadarius Toney, a rookie receiver out of Florida, who can play in the slot and make some plays down in there. The New York Giants are going to be very, very hard to play against. And that's something that the Saints need to prepare for the most before you go into the bye week. I have the Saints winning here by 3 points, but don't be surprised if you see a little bit of back and forth action in terms of offensive scoring, right? Let's go into week 5 against the Washington football team. I have them winning pretty comfortably against the Washington football team. Yes, their defense is probably top 3 going into this season after the strong showcase they put on during the back half of their season as well. But offensively, they're still a little questionable. They have Taylor Heineke, who put on a really, really good showing against Tampa Bay Bucks in the wildcard round. Don't misunderstand me. And they also have Curtis Samuel, Terry McLaurin, and Jordan Reed, and Isaiah Thomas at tight end. But in terms of efficiency, the Saints have the edge efficiently, I should say. Yes, they are more of a check down offense when they were under Alex Smith. When you saw them on the Taylor Heineke, then that pass attack really opened up. But they don't have a really solid run game to run off of. Then that game is going to be all about endurance, right? If the Saints can drag the Washington football team to deep waters, right, on their defense, then they were in good shape to win that game by 7 points. I had them winning by 7 points. So that has them 5-0, right? They've beaten Green Bay, they've beaten Carolina, they've beaten New England, they've beaten New York, they've beaten Washington football team. You're a 5-0 going into your week 6 bye. Now you're going into week 7, the week after. It's their first of 5 primetime games. This first one is against the Seattle Seahawks. The Seattle Seahawks are a team that's a little confusing defensively in the secondary. They allow some of the worst yards per game and points per game in the NFL last year, and they haven't addressed it. They haven't addressed that secondary just yet. Yes, they have Jamal Adams, but he's more of a box safety, a blitzing safety, than really a guy they can count on in deep coverage, right? But offensively, they still have a lot of firepower. They still have DK Metcalf, who is turning heads, who recently had his Olympic tryout debut. They have Tyler Lockett, and there's the fact that the New Orleans Saints are still questionable at that CB2 spot. So if they can stay on their P's and Q's to get pressure up front on the offensive line and get Russell Wilson uncomfortable in the pocket, the Saints are in good position to keep the game in their favor. I had the Saints winning this game by 6 points. I had the New Orleans Saints winning this game by 6 points. I have the schedule right here on my phone, so that's why you see me looking over here, right? But let's go into this next game against the Tampa Bay Bucks. The Week 8 game against Tampa Bay Bucks. This is the game that Jameis Winston is going to be all too focused on winning, right? I have the Saints winning this game against the Tampa Bay Bucks, right? Because the Tampa Bay Bucks, they're not too scary defensively, right? And we're talking about the secondary. Their defense mainly stands on how well their linebackers perform. Lavonte David and Devin White. You can expose Devin White in pass coverage. You can expose Lavonte David in pass coverage. You have great play recognition. They can get sideline to sideline. But Adam Trautman's going to have a big game against Devin White. He did so last year, and when they played the Bucs on the road, he exposed them in the red zone. And they exposed them again during the back half of during the back half of that game, right? During the fourth quarter, they were running the clock down, wide open throw to Adam Trautman for a gain of 30-40. And Jameis Winston is going to make sure that Bruce Arians knows that I am a better quarterback now than I was when I was with you, right? And that's another big statement for Jameis Winston, assuming he beats out Taysom Hill in training camp, which we all know is probably going to happen. This game is too important for the Saints to not win, right? They have to win this game because it's probably going to dictate how the NFC South positions play out, right? They're still the 4-time NFC South champions. They're looking to go 5-time, the first time for Jameis Winston. Now, I have them, so far, they're still undefeated, right? They're still undefeated. Let's go into the Week 9 game against the Atlanta Falcons. I'm not too worried about the Week 9 game against the Atlanta Falcons, right? The Atlanta Falcons defensively make no sense to me. They're still a team that's struggling defensively in the secondary. Yes, they drafted Richie Grant. Yes, he can play safety and he can play slot, but there's not much going on there. You still have AJ Terrell. You still have Deion Jones. You still have whoever else. They have Grady Jarrett. Those are pretty much their only big playmakers. Offensively, they're going to be very, very hard to play against because they have Julio Jones still. They have Calvin Ridley still. This is a game where it really depends on how Paulson Adebo, the CB2 for the Saints, plays at this junction of the season. During the middle of the season, you need Paulson Adebo to really play. Now, this is a game that they're going to struggle to win against. I do believe they're going to sweep the Falcons this year, but it's going to be a really, really big struggle. So, Saints beating Atlanta off the board. This is the game I have the Saints losing next, right? I have them losing against the Tennessee Titans. The reason why, the last time they played Tennessee, they were on the road and they didn't need to deal with Derrick Henry. And that was when their Saints defensive line was still at 100%. They could barely do much, right? Especially in the secondary. They almost let Tennessee back in that game. And with Derrick Henry finding his stride, being the best pure runner in the NFL, the Saints are going to have their hard time against Tennessee. And that's not bad when you're losing to a guy that put up 2,000 yards, 2,000 rushing yards last year, right? There's nothing bad about that. So, for the first time so far this 2021 season, I have the Saints losing. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5-0, 6, 7, 8. They're 8-1. At this juncture, right? The first one's against Tennessee. They're 8-1. Next one, we've got Philadelphia on the road. I have the Saints getting their redemption against the Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, they have Devontae Smith. Yes, they have Jalen Reagor. But Devontae Smith is the only receiver that threatens me for the Saints secondary when you're talking about the Philadelphia offense. Yes, they have Jalen Hurts, but I believe the New Orleans Saints learned from last time what Jalen Hurts can do with his legs. They're going to be more prepared for a RPO type of action from the Philadelphia Eagles. I have them getting the redemption here with a 6-point lead going into the next game against the Buffalo Bills, which is the second primetime game for the New Orleans Saints against the Buffalo Bills. I have them losing against the Buffalo Bills. Okay, I believe that Josh Allen is riding a high right now. Josh Allen is finding his stride, and we have a guy like Emmanuel Sanders going opposite of Stephon Diggs. That passing attack is going to be lethal. On top of that, what he can do with his legs, his play recognition, his presence in the pocket, they're all becoming very, very poised. And on top of that, they don't have a good run game as compared to the New Orleans Saints. But, you know what I mean? I have the Saints losing here by 4 points. I have the Saints losing by 4 points because of what they can do offensively and defensively for the secondary. It's a really, really good defensive secondary for the Buffalo Bills. I believe the offense is going to win them that game. Like I said, it all depends on what Paulson Adebo is able to do during this point of the season. So, win. You have a win. You're 5-0 so far going to the bye week. Got a win there. They're 6-0, 7-0, 8-0, 8-1, 9-1. So you got 8-2 record so far for the New Orleans Saints. You got an 8-2 record. The next game is Thursday night against the Dallas Cowboys. That's a win for the New Orleans Saints. Now, why you're probably asking yourself why you have them winning against Dallas Cowboys, but you have them losing against the Buffalo Bills when the Dallas Cowboys have a better wide receiver core than the Buffalo Bills. I believe it's going to be simply because their defense is not that good. You can hang in there with the Dallas Cowboys with Dak Prescott playing under center. Dak Prescott is a really good a really good quarterback. I love Dak Prescott. I hope he has a good season, but I believe that defensive front is going to have their way with an aging offensive line. Get Dak Prescott off of his P's and Q's. They're going to be able to contain Zeke Elliott and make sure that the offense doesn't get going. I have the Saints winning that game by 3 points, right? 3 points. So you have a 9-2 record so far against everybody, right? So the next game against the New York Jets, look, it's the Jets, right? Now, I love Justin Hardy. I love Sheldon Rankins. I also love Robert Saleh, the former defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. But the New York Jets just hasn't shown me much. And my opinion may change as the season progresses. But for right now, as it stands, I have the Saints winning comfortably against the New York Jets by 14 points. So that's 10-2. The next one, we have Tampa Bay Bucks. I believe the Saints are going to lose that game. I think the Saints are going to lose that game against Tampa Bay because the Bucks are going to want to get their get back. They're not going to want to be swept again by the New Orleans Saints. They're going to be more on a P's and Q's at this point. And I believe Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are going to have a field day against whoever is lined up against them in terms of Paulson and Debo. So they split so far this season, though. So that's a loss for the New Orleans Saints, but that's not bad. I have them still being first in the NFC South by 2 games, at the stretch. The next game is a Monday Night Football game against the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins, I had them winning against the Miami Dolphins. Tua Tagovailoa had a really hard start to his rookie year playing for the Miami Dolphins. They should have kept Ryan Fitzpatrick. He clearly wasn't ready. Will he be ready this year? It's most likely he will be. But their offense is really not that good. Their defense is what kept them in games. I believe the Saints can disrupt their offensive flow, keep the Saints ahead of the sticks, and be efficient in terms of winning by 10 points. After winning by 10 points against the Miami Dolphins, let's go into the next game here against the Carolina Panthers, Week 17. Look, the Carolina Panthers, I believe they're going to win against. I think they're going to sweep the Carolina Panthers here. I just don't see Matt Rule pulling it out, even though there is going to be a close game, right? It's going to be a lot closer than what people might expect. I have them winning here. I have them sweeping against the Carolina Panthers, and in Week 18 against the Atlanta Falcons, I have them sweeping already. So let's go ahead and go right back into it by going down the list, right? Win against the Green Bay Packers, win against Carolina, against New England, against the Giants, and against the Washington Football Team. That's 5-0 going into your Week 6 bye. Then you have Seattle with the win, you have Tampa Bay with the win, you have Atlanta with a win. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 8-0. Week 10 against Tennessee, it's an 8-win record. I have them losing in that game. Week 11, Philadelphia, that's a win. 9-1. Buffalo, that's a loss. 8-2. Week 13, Cowboys, 9-2. Week 14, Jets, 10-2. Tampa Bay lost 10-3. Miami Dolphins win 11-3. 12-3. And then the last 2 games against Carolina and Atlanta, that's a win. So that's 14-3. So the Saints are going to be 14-3. They're going to win the NFC South as a game and a half favorites over the Tampa Bay Bucks. They go on to the playoffs. I believe the Saints are going to overall fine. This schedule is not as hard, even with some of the weapons that some of these teams have gotten, right? Philadelphia, for example, they got Devontae Smith. Falcons, for example, they got Kyle Pitts. Patriots got Mac Jones. You don't know if they got Mac Jones playing that game or not. You still have the Green Bay Packers getting Alan Lazard. They got another receiver there. I forgot who they drafted at receiver. They still have Devontae Adams. You got the Buffalo Bills, who I believe is going to lose against. Like I said, they've got Emmanuel Sanders. They got Stephon Diggs, who have already got a strong chemistry the minute he got there. But the Saints are going to be just fine. That's my prediction, to be 14-3 against this against all these opponents in the beginning of a new 17-game era. Let me know in the comment section what you think is going to pan out for the New Orleans Saints. Do you have them at 14-3? Do you have them as a lower record? What is your floor record? What is your ceiling record? 14-3 is my ceiling. 12-5 is my floor, right? 12-5, excuse me. Wild card team, 14-3. Look, you can't ask for anything better than that, right? But like I said, let me know in the comment section who you believe is going to win or lose. These games. I'll see you guys in the next video. And as always, we bleed black and gold until we dead and cold. I'll holler at y'all later.